Hi, welcome to this week's Trailblazer Tuesday. Last week we talked about technology outcomes versus business outcomes. And this was, this was brought into stark relief this week in numerous conversations that I had with Trailblazers. Specifically one, a CEO I've known for a long time, he asked me, Chris, what exactly are you doing? And I said, well, we're taking a data-powered approach to help organizations address problems to move their business forward. He said, yeah, but what type of problems? And I said, well, we really see a set of problems over and over again. In fact, there's really only 4 problems we see associated to construction technology. Firstly, we see organizations that have made investments in platforms, big and small, and they're just not seeing the results that they expected from that investment, right? So there's a level of confusion, dissatisfaction, curiosity, but they're not getting what they'd hoped for. Secondly, we see those same organizations spending a lot of time and people power moving data from where it is to where it needs to be to get these systems to work in some capacity, right? So we see these inefficient data processes. Now, despite these investments and despite the work being done to get the data where it needs to, they still don't have the insights to achieve their business outcomes. They don't have the visibility into operations. They don't see the compliance risks that may be present on jobs. And lastly, they don't have the IT bench strength, either depth or perhaps breadth, to do something about it. So as a result, these companies often feel stuck, right? They know they need to lean into technology, but they just can't seem to get it to work in terms of improving the business, not disrupting the business. And we think about this in terms of the construction technology divide, or, I've been thinking about it in terms of the context schism, right? The desire to push forward, but understand, but just not seeing the results that they're hoping for. And this really speaks back to the concept we talked about last week, which is business outcomes versus technology outcomes. Now, what we help organizations do is, and what I'd encourage you to do, is to actually look at these problems and then understand how to address the problems, which in fact move the business forward. So if we look at the 4 again, we have underwhelming results from technology investments. We have inefficient data processes, moving data to where it needs to be. We have a lack of visibility into operations and insights to improve the business. And we don't have the bench strength to make the changes we need. So taking them one by one, really the way to think about addressing that first problem in terms of the return on technology investment is to go back to somewhat the origin and say, why were we making this investment? What were we hoping to achieve? And really framing that technology investment in a business outcome, right? Are we hoping to improve margins? Are we hoping to improve the accessibility of information? Are we looking to reduce compliance risk and the fear of punitive fines? What is the objective of that technology investment, and specifically, how does it make the business better? And that really is coming up with, once you know what that component's going to do for you, then you can start to optimize it and dial it in and ensure that people are using it correctly and getting the information they need to be able to maximize that investment. Moving into inefficient data flows, this is one that we see all the time, right? This is hands on keyboard, entering it in 3 places at the same time. It's moving data from field into finance or field into project management. It's moving data from through the stakeholders in a project, from trade to GC, safety reporting. You have it. There's just a lot of really inefficient manual work being done. And this is, in fact, one of the easiest to tackle, because you can put a dollar on that. You have somebody who is spending time on low value work and you can figure out how much time it is and what's their rate and what have you. And if you improve the flow of information, then you can have that individual focus on higher value work, right? So it's not that you are getting rid of the individual, but you're having them do work that's more accretive to the business, right? So that improving that inefficient data flow. So there is upside right on the other side of improving that. Now, oftentimes that upside is coupled with better data, right? You bet data that's available when you need it, that's accessible, that's combined, giving you a complete picture. And that can drive operational efficiency through improved insight and decision-making, right? So oftentimes that inefficient data flow and that operational visibility go hand in glove. So that's an interesting one to think about, because that can be a force multiplier on the business. When you address the lack of visibility, you can start to get small improvements on individual projects, right? You can start to really have this concept of thinking through how is the business improved through improved insight, right? Is it reduced risk? Is it the ability to see problem projects far sooner, to raise issues more quickly to operational leadership? You can put numbers on that, whether it's improved margins across the board, individual project improvements, what have you, right? So improving operational efficiency. Then there's just the overall, do we have the people we need to be able to do this work? And broad-based across the industry, the answer is no. The industry spends about 1% of revenue compared to, on average, across other industries, of 4%. And there is the opportunity to think through not just filling your office with IT staff, but what is the specific need we have for expertise and personnel that can address these problems, right? And that's the ability to start moving your company forward. So again, going back to this concept of the construction technology divide, or the context schism, or really this gap between business outcomes and technology outcomes, what we invite you to do as trailblazers is to think about, what was the why behind investing in this technology? Where do we have inefficient data flow, and where can that be improved? Where would improved insight drive the business, and how do we get there? Right? And effectively, those are the problems we see over and over again that stacked one upon another. Addressing these problems can really start to compound and drive data-powered improvement, data-powered innovation, data-powered construction in your organization. I hope you've enjoyed this talk. It's been really enlightening to really sink into understanding the challenge of this context schism, and helping organizations see through it so that they can shed that feeling of being stuck and start to really propel their business forward. Until next week, Trailblazers, blaze those trails. We'll see you next week.